Well, it's Valentine's Day. I decided to do it on this day, and this is the recording of Pink Cloud Radio. As with pink being a huge deciphering color of love, I am impatiently giving you a disgusting little glance of beauty. Pretty ugly. Pretty and ugly at the same time. A vicious atonement. I guess I could really begin with this because, to be honest, there's no reflection back that I need to look at right now. I'm better than you because I can deal with the system the way it is. Now, this is the present consciousness with any society at any point in history, whatever. Somebody thinks they're better because they could deal with things the way they are. Like somebody, for example, saying they could deal with just having sex. You know, just because everybody else can totally accept it and stuff. No, I don't think I'm better. I think I'm the worst asshole in the world. You know, at least all those men and women, they all agree with the system and they just push their beliefs on other people. And that's what I don't like. That's what makes me call them assholes. They're not assholes like me. They can't even touch the asshole that I am. But the asshole that they are, they push their beliefs on other people to make them say, hey, you got options here, you got options here. I'm not saying everybody's like that. And I don't believe everybody who does that is an asshole. But I do think that we all have to make our own decisions, and we shouldn't base it off of anybody else's insecurities or anybody else's anything. Fuck that. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm the biggest asshole in the world because I'm so secure I make everybody else insecure. That's what I do. Now, I'm not saying I do it on purpose. I'm secure because I'm secure. I didn't know it was irrational or was going to make you insecure that I'm secure. I didn't know that would happen. And I think that's what happens here. Like, you know, somebody thinks they're better because they can deal with the system the way it is. That doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make me any better even. I think I'm the biggest asshole in the world because of it. You know, feelings, emotions, sensitivities right on the table. That's how I see it. And I think they don't get in the way of anything. If people say emotions get in the way, as I said last time, it's what you do that gets in the way. It's not it's not the emotions, feelings, or sensitivities that get in the way. It's what you're doing with them. It's your actions. It's not your emotions. Emotions are a very clever way of saying that you want that definition of a human to be gone. Well, if you want that definition of a human to be gone, you don't have to experience it. In fact, you don't have to show it. But if you're holding it back and there's a pressure point, you're being stupid. You might as well just show it all so you don't have those pressure points and you don't hold anything in about it. It's a vicious atonement, I think. It is a vicious atonement because it's the definite it's deregulating. It's basically saying that I don't need to show my feelings until it starts hurting you. Then I should show my feelings. No, you should show them before that. And whether it's feelings of love, lust, or whatever, you have to say it, you know. As Sid, you know. If somebody wants it, that's cool, you know. But I think it's a vicious atonement. And with such, that's what happens, you know. I'm better than you because I deal with the system the way it is. Well, that doesn't make you better than me. I don't even think I'm better than the system. In fact, the only thing that's going to fix the system is me getting destroyed and then the system getting destroyed. Pretty much because the system can't survive without people like me. Without people who disagree. I don't agree with the system. But I'll always recognize control now. I'll always recognize control. And I could sabotage any system. That's the thing. Now, I'm not saying I will. But I'm saying that anybody is now capable of that in my side. I'm saying we're both wrong. You're wrong, the system's wrong, and I'm wrong. Because both are based on the psychology of control. We both have to go away. Because that's the only way anything is going to change. We both have to surrender to each other in some way and form, and there's going to be a fight. You can't stop the fight that's going to happen. No matter how many people disappear, no matter how many people die, there's going to be a fight. And you can't avoid it. You can't avoid the fight for ideas. You can't avoid it. You have to take it on. You know, that's why there's so much bloodshed right now. Because we're trying to avoid the fight of ideas. We're trying to just get rid of the idea. But it's not going to go away. In fact, the more wars you have, the more ideas actually get stronger. The more ideas actually have more people behind it. You have to face the idea. You have to face your idea and their idea at the same time. So that you can just quark them together and bam. Just like in the Matrix Revolutions. How did it end? Everything, there was a new path after Neo surrendered. When he finally surrendered to it. Because you can't have there is a present consciousness problem, but the present consciousness also learns something. But it can't learn anything until it gets what it wants. If the present consciousness wants everything, when it gets everything, it won't have anything else to get anymore. And it'll lose. They'll lose their minds, they'll lose their lives. Because at that point, there is no consciousness anymore. And in fact, they've now bridged the gap between consciousness at all. That's the vicious atonement. I'm going to surrender? Of course. But I'm going to surrender in a different way. You know, I'm already in a prison. If you put me in a prison, I wouldn't feel any different. That's the difference, is that all the stuff around us is based on a system that has rules, but rules that I've seen 1,000 times over, and just as everybody else. Those rules just apply as much here or more than they do behind bars. So in fact, what's the difference? There is no difference. The only difference is the one thing that could change anybody's minds is the fact that it's all physical. But the reason why we're based on the physical is because of the two-way system. Choice and choicelessness. Fate and free will. You have to break those barriers altogether. You have to kill both of them. Because they're both wrong. Because one faces the other. So if one goes away, the other one's still facing the other one. And they're going to still come back. Again and again. I would rather be killed in the streets than to have secrets in the system I am in. At least you know what happens, and so everyone else. You know, because a lot of my grandma and my mom were talking about this, about how my grandma brought it up, saying that, oh, in the Middle East they kill people in the streets. I said, good. To me, I'm not saying it's good that people die, but I'm telling you that it's better to have that kind of honesty with it. At least everybody knows it. You can't escape the reality of it, pretty much. Because the secrets aren't kept as secrets, like in our country, where it's all secrets. Blacked out documents, whatever, and stuff that isn't even released to the public. Black operations, I mean, whatever you want to call it. There's other names that I can't even mention because we're not even privy to those ideas. That's the problem. As with what happened with the State of the Union speech. Making the school system a commodity. A market commodity. That proves that they have control of the knowledge. If you control the knowledge of our generations beforehand, you pretty much tell everybody what information they're going to be able to say or not, and what information they'll be able to use or not. Because there's a lot of stuff that wouldn't be released to the public then. There'll be a nice little treaty of information that we get, and then you'll have to basically delve deep on your own to do any research. Or, you know, have a psychological mind where you can think about it. You know, philosophy, psychology, all these things. I'm like Pink Cloud Radio is not enough. But it's a little stepping stone. That's all it is. And that's all it has to be. So that's why I say I'd rather be killed in the streets. Because at least it's not a secret. And it shouldn't be. You know, if you believe in the system so much and you believe it's going to defend you with everything, it's going to keep you secure, it's going to make you feel assured, then you should be able to deal with the system turning against its own people. You know, you should be able to trust that they'll never hurt you. That's the one thing people say, you know, there's a nice box that they stay in. At the same time, if they're privy to other information or other things right in front of their eyes, there can be a difference, you know, just like the Civil War. If you really think about it, a civil war can really make you think, can really give you a different view of what's happening. And I think that's what really creates people. I mean, I can say all I want, you know, that I can experience war, or I can feel the tenacity of war, but that's not enough. But it's not really about that even. You know, whether I have gone to war or whether I haven't, the only thing that can really affect it, life, is what I'm going to do anyway. Because no matter if you went to war or not, there are things you're going to do anyway. You know, I can't stand on, you know, being something rather than what I am. I can't think about what everybody else thinks about me. Like, I can't worry about the reputation they're building of me. That's fine. Go ahead, build that reputation of me. But I can't think about it that much. I can't take the time to think about what you're thinking about me, what you're going to say about me to somebody else. That's fine. Go ahead. Have fun with it. Have a great time telling people lies about me when you don't want to speak to me about it. That's why to me, I'd rather be killed in the streets, because finally reputation will just shut the fuck up. You know, I can understand that both roads are wrong, you know. But the only way to really accept both roads is to look at both roads and face them both head on. See them. See what else they could go, where else they could go. Understand them. Because once you try to decide that maybe you don't want to understand them, maybe you don't want to think about them, and that's what a lot of people say, like, I don't even want to think about it. Well, then how do you... Maybe that's what they wanted you to do in the first place, so you wouldn't pay attention to what the Middle East religion is, how they really are. Because there's a lot of things where a lot of people say, well, they want more freedoms over there. There's a lot of countries that never asked for what we gave them. I don't remember the sweatshops, China saying, hey, send them over here. There's a lot of things that happen in this world, and we have to, you know, no one was here during the Salem witch. No one came to save anybody from the Salem witch trials. We have to go through things, and so does everybody else. See, that's the one thing that people don't get, is that we want to be saviors of people so they don't experience the same things we did to people before in our past. But no one came here. No one saved all the people that we said were witches. No one saved the Native Americans that we basically almost butchered to the point where it was complete genocide. And no one saved the Mexicans even, when a lot of stuff happened here that was bleh. When you really get down to it, we can do what we want to the punishing level, but now we want to stop everybody else from doing it. No one else can have that hand. We have to have that hand. You know, that's what Theodore Roosevelt meant by holding the big stick, but staying quiet. Yeah, that means you stay quiet about all the bad things you do to people, but you still hold that big stick. Well, fuck you, Theodore. Sorry. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. But I think he, with that line, proves a lot. I don't say carry a big stick. Don't carry a stick at all. How about that? Use your hands. Use your fist. Don't use weapons. I want to see if you can actually take somebody on. Because that's what I'd like to do. A lot of people allow themselves to make the same mistakes and then blame you for making the mistake. I never understood that. I always think about that idea of people, like, you know, they make the same mistakes again and again, and then they blame you for it. Psychologically, if the main reason for your mistake is the other person right there, first off, you probably made that mistake before you met them. That's why you're complaining about it and saying that you make the same mistakes over and over again. There's someone else that started this mistake. It was you. And you don't want to stop making that mistake. You can't blame somebody for something you want to keep doing. That's what I always think about. I do the same thing again and again sometimes, but I don't blame anybody for it. In fact, I just have fun with it now. You know, if I could say I watch porn or something, or look up porn or something. Okay. And outside of that, what other realm can come up? Nothing. Can I blame anybody for it? No. Would I want to? Nah. That's a waste of time. But a lot of people allow themselves to make the same mistakes. And when you allow yourself to make the same mistake, first off, that allowing yourself right there doesn't come from the person you blame. Hey, you may make the same mistake again. No, I didn't. You know, you have to be your own individual person. You don't have to be completely strict about it. But don't go for every whim. Keep yourself centered with what you love, with who you love. And if you do that, you got no problems. If you can't, then it doesn't matter what I do, I'll lose. Like, for example, if I was to ask a girl out, like, you know, since today's Valentine's Day, if I were to ask a girl out, what does that mean? Does it mean anything to the person? And that's, if it does, great. But, like I just said, if people allow themselves to make the same mistakes and blame you for it, what if their mistake is intimidating other people to do things? If their mistake is to do the same thing again and again to somebody else to make them be the stronger one, it's not going to work out even. Like, to me, I'm the weakest, strongest person you'll ever know. I'm the weakest, strongest person you'll ever know. The biggest asshole you ever know. Because I'm so secure, I make everybody else insecure. And I'm so nervous, nervous laughter, babbling, so on and so forth. These are things that I do. And that's what I mean by, if a lot of people allow themselves to make the same mistakes, they're gone. But they'll be gone by themselves too, Because a lot of people allow themselves to make the same mistakes, they have to learn by themselves. They can't learn from somebody else. Like, I couldn't teach them anything or allow them to learn anything through me, because they're the ones that are blaming me. Obviously, I can't do anything to teach them anything because they've already allowed themselves to blame me. Not only did they allow themselves to make the same mistakes, but now they blamed me for it, which means I have to leave. There's no way I could stay because now they have me to be the scapegoat. So how can they learn from me if they keep on blaming me? Now, people argue when it's promises made that will make a disagreement with. People will argue that it's promises made that will make a disagreement with. No, it's always the stuff you do that make people against you. Like people say, like, oh, promises really stand up. You promised, you promised, you promised. No, it's not. It's always the stuff you do that will make people against you. Because, like, if somebody promised you something and you started acting up against that promise, how would you expect them, well, not even expectation, how could you say that it was a promise anymore? You didn't bring up that you were going to act like that, for one. So now you've basically said, live up to those promises no matter what I do. Well, I'm going. You know that I'm not the type of person. So you obviously are holding it against me that I'm a different type of person than you, and I have to allow you to just do what you want now. I can only surrender so much to that kind of stuff. And I think about that, like, then maybe I'm not the right person for you. Like, to me, that's how I feel. Because I think that when people put themselves in a position where they feel like they want to have more freedom in a relationship or want to do what they please, or when people try to basically say, hey, ask them out, do this or that, the other, when it's an outside kind of person that's doing that, there's already a disagreement right there. That proves that the other person is not able to speak to me directly. I'm 26, I'm the death king, as I call myself right now. But there is no sort of like fixing pattern that could change it. I couldn't change what I needed in my past. I can't even change what I needed now. I don't know what I want to do with me. So how would I know what to do with a relationship? I don't even know what I want to do with me here. I would rather lose people and not change, or say all I am, than feed someone or get friends and have to change. And it's true. It's true. Honestly, I don't feel much of a, that sort of connection to want to have friendship just because. And do anything for friends or something. Because to me, that's not a friend. You'd want to do anything for a friend, but you wouldn't want to change who you are for a friend. And I don't think a friend would really want that from you either. Like, for me, I think that what I mean by this is that I'd rather lose people. And I have. I've lost a lot of friendships. And, hey, I blame myself. And that's good, and I apologize to many of them, actually. Other ones I haven't, but I actually took the time to speak about them, especially in this Pink Cloud Radio. Offering closure is one of them. And to be direct about that, that is the general idea. That there is nothing above that. There's nothing below that. Because it's not high or low, it's just, I do need to apologize, and I honestly meant it. I meant it every time. That's kind of hard to do. When you apologize that many times and mean it, I have no emotions. I have no emotion for love in a lot of ways because of so many people that just said, no, you have to do it my way. And I just said, but I'm not telling you to do it my way. I'm telling you to believe in yourself. I'm telling you what to believe in yourself about. All the disapproval, all the judgments, all that stuff, it doesn't matter. That's what I mean by I'd rather stay as I am. I'd rather stay all I am. Because to me, feeding friends is not going to get anything. It's not going to get anywhere, you know. There are friendships that can build from it, and definitely have, and I know I've built some friendships. You know, but if I have to build friendships by changing who I am, rather than changing with the friend, then it's very pointless friendship. And I think for a lot of people, though, I think hope overrides the scope of changes inside people. To look only at the changing around at the physical place and time. So I think a lot of people like have hope, like a circus ride or something. Or think about that, when there's changes around us physically, stuff like that, there's a hope. There's a hope in that stuff. And to me, that's where it goes away from me. That isn't hope. That's living in almost a dream world in general. Because you're basically putting a word to everything that's happening around you when it may not be that word. You're defining a quality of something around you, and what does it have to do with hope? What does that person or that thing around you, or going to that mall that just opened, what does that have to do with hope? It has nothing to do with hope. But I think a lot of hope overrides the scope of changes inside people. Like, that's what I mean by, you know, what's more important, looking at the inside or the outside? It could be either. I could be wrong. I could actually say that maybe it's on the outside. Maybe we should all pay attention to the physical appearance only. But I do think that the hope is the problem. It's not about really paying attention to the external or internal. It's the fact that you put hope in there. That's a distraction. Especially the way you would use it to look only at the changes around at the physical place and time. That's why a lot of people say, oh, you know, it's great that you lost weight. Oh, you look great like that in that dress. What the hell? I mean, what matters? You look great in that suit, sir. And right in there, that already creates it makes a scope. It creates something more than just what it is. That's the problem too. Is that you can say something like that, and it could mean so much wondrous things to you. Maybe all it is the suit. Think about it. Take some time with it. Outside of that realm of, you know, frickin' just using that to scapegoat or push on somebody what they think, how they think, what they are from their suit, from their dress. And I think that's what hope is to me. Hope is a very distracting quality. I'm not saying it's always, but many times it can be. You know, believing in something is not bad. It's just the hope of it is the eternal struggle. Just like the eternal struggle between people saying like heaven and hell. There's an eternal struggle between heaven and hell. Well, there's an eternal struggle between heaven and hell because they don't want to take each other in. They don't want to do what Neo and Agent Smith did at the end of the Matrix trilogy. To create a new path for all of us, for everyone, for everything. Whether it's something physical, human, animal, spirit, neither of them want to create something new for us. That's what I'm getting. I don't get the feeling of either of them wanting to agree. And, you know, to be honest, if God is that stubborn, I don't want him to come back. I don't want, you know, sounds like my father to me. Doesn't sound like somebody I'd ever want to meet. You know, I don't think I'd be going to hell either. I'm sure the devil's like, hey, don't accept him in here. And if there is anything that God and Jesus taught wrong, it's to not take responsibility for our actions. Like I was thinking about Satre and stuff like that. Wrote about it, that the idea of our individual actions are our own. Rather than looking at, you know, God, you know, some other displacement, some spiritual entity to describe our intense temptations, intense wrongdoings. And like, one great joke my brother says is that, Jesus died for our sins, so we can sin it up now. Because he died for our sins. It's going to happen again, right? There's going to be a second coming. There's going to be more things. So we'll be saved again. No problems. Sin it up. And I think what Satre said was even better. That we have to take responsibility for our actions. And we don't. Now we don't even need to look at the fact that religion has nothing to do with it now. We could look at sexual orientations. We could look at how you think about what you think about. Options. Having options. Just wanting sex. Disagreeing with emotions because you think that's what the problem was. It's pretty much the responsibility, complex in your head. Not wanting to completely rationalize something by saying it was somebody else's fault or something else's fault. That's a lot of people rationalize things. That's why I said about God and Jesus, because if you use those means, you're using God's name in vain, I could say even. It's just like, what he said, don't hurt the least of my creations. Well, that means don't hurt the people that have been bad here. Because if you do that, you're not going to be accepted anywhere. There won't be any room for you up there. Especially if you hurt the least of his creations. And guess what? A lot of people do that. Corrupt cops, corrupt people in general. Maybe, and to be honest, they're all built from a corruptness above. The corrupt didn't come from the poor. We could say all we want, hey, the corrupt came from the poor. No, they didn't. Do you think by shoveling dirt we were able to get all the services of drug dealers behind us and everything? No. You're an idiot if you think that. You're an idiot if you think that by the means of production, there's a way for us to get away with this stuff. I'm a single individual here. And I can't even comprehend the fact that people believe that. That's nonsense. I'm not saying nobody's capable of that as an individual. I'm just saying the way that people abstractly form it. To think that so many people can do this stuff. It's admirable. I mean, I can't believe that they have that much imagination. People say they don't have imagination. I see it every day with the stupidity they bring out of what they believe senselessly just because the public and the majority have said so. My God, the news has said so. You believe it. You don't think there's something underneath the surface? It's being controlled by the top 5 or 4 companies in general. They're not going to put their own agenda in. They put their agenda in with everything else. And our country started with an agenda, changing a genocide into Thanksgiving. Let's see. If they changed those kind of stories and it worked, gave us holidays, then why wouldn't they just change all these stories too? It worked. Hustling works. Why would you stop something that's 100% proof? That people are just scared of and, use their own dogma to try to rationalize everything of life instead of actually trying to change life for themselves. And that is the, Satre, the devil blaming us will never be the blame, as it should be. Your reaction, action, that tells all, What really tells all about a person is their action, reaction. I'm not saying causality is completely 100% proof that it shows who's guilty or not, because it doesn't. Because there might have been an action, reaction before that made that person lie, or made that person believe a lie, or made that, court system hooey, trash, because all you can do is pay off the judges because you have more power. There you go, If hustling worked before, you're going to stop it now? Why would you stop it? It's 100% proof. No one's going to go against it. You can start wars with it. Damn. Why would you stop? You don't even need people's say. You just take the people that agree with you and put them on, boost their ratings, and take away all the ones that have fragility and say they're crazy. Of course. Or, in all fringes, just say that came from the internet. Yes, I'm sure people say 9/11 was an inside job only came from the internet. I'm sure all these conspiracies only came from the internet. I'm sure of it. I'm sure, yes, nothing happened before that people didn't believe in. Everyone trusted their government. You're living in a fantasy world, buddy, because even when we were in our most particular scope of having people initiated in a basic life, there are people who still questioned, and there always will be. You need us in some form or another until we fight each other and you give up your controls and I give up mine. But we can't surrender if we don't even fight. It's not about action-reaction. It's that the free will you offer human beings isn't working anymore. It's not. It's not free will. And the thing that proves that the most, and I say this on an individual level, sarcasm, is the immediate moment for the person to use to not be wrong. Yes, I could bring it up as self-defense mechanism, but it's not a show of how smart you are. Many times it's to show you don't want to be wrong. Sarcasm is that immediate self-detachment. Like, I can't identify with myself right now because you're not agreeing with me. So, it's that self-detachment, like saying that I can't even think for myself right here, so I have to put you down with sarcasm. I have to put down what you think with sarcasm because I need to self-identify. And unless you agree with me, it's that comfort zone of having other people agree with you to make you feel better about yourself. Well, I'm sorry you self-depreciate yourself all the time, but I didn't do that. I wouldn't even start doing that to you right now. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I don't like you. It actually means that what I think intimidates your own relationship with yourself. Well, I'm sorry about that, but you have to recognize that people think differently. And it's not anything personally against you. I just had different experiences where I saw bullying, revenge, and it hasn't ended. Which means that it's not about individuals. It's about you. Many times it's a show you don't want to be wrong, as I said. And it is. You don't want to be wrong, do you? I don't want to be wrong either. I don't have a self-defense mechanism, but I certainly don't want to be wrong. But even the availing nature of the truth have to surrender sometime too. You don't want to surrender either, but that actually proves on one side of the equation that I'm more Neo and you're more Agent Smith. And that's fine. Because don't worry, you'll win. But then I'll be gone. And when my idea dies, so does yours. That's what counts. Is that when my idea of fighting your control dies after I die. That's what I've learned. And that's the new path. That's where the new path comes from. It doesn't come from me or you. We're both idiots. But we both recognize that we're idiots at that point, and we both die. I die because of your control. You die because of your control. Seems like a pretty simplistic thing. And a little bit of irony there too. Because you wanted that control and you just die with it. After you kill off anybody that wants to take away that control, or to release information to the huge environment around you of living things and tell them they're being controlled. You don't want that. Because that means everybody else can start looking at it and saying, hey, I don't like this idea. I don't need to be right, though. But your sarcasm shows you need to be. And I think that's one of the things. I don't need to be right. And that's the thing a lot of people don't get, is that I identify with what I feel. But I don't need to be right. In fact, I'd love to be proved wrong, but not by you. If you want to hear how I think, that's fine, but I'm not looking to find out a truth from you. I find out about that truth from you right now when I hear that you self-identify with what you self-identify with, which means you need the security of me agreeing with you. But I don't. I can't. I don't feel that same way as you. In fact, as a friend, you should have learned that already. That's why a lot of my friendships ended, because people couldn't even identify with themselves when they were with me unless I identified with them 100%. And I don't. I don't identify with somebody 100%. The same thing I would think of in a relationship. I don't identify 100% with somebody I'm with in a relationship. But that wouldn't change me being in a relationship with them. If it does to you, then the emotions you had weren't there. And I think that's one thing that really changes the scope of most relationships. So it changes the scope of anything, really. Is that kind of sarcasm, that kind of... I don't know, it's hard to exist without looking at that. You know, having pride in your job when all you do is do what your boss tells you to do. You know, you make lots of money, and you never set your passage to engage in what you please to be and settle into that. The way things have been, I am given the same option if I go all the way with who I am. I think that's one thing I've learned, is that a lot of people try to brand one thing together. They use brands. I mean, think about all the brands for everything. Oh, look at that couple together. Let's say people before they were a couple. How did their friends react? How did people react? Was it in a good way, or was it in a way to just push their expectations on it? Push them. Or was it actually something real that they did see? And I think that's, you know, like, to me, I want to put my passion into something. I don't want to just put what other people want me to put into things. Like, I think that's the thing I'm learning from what my grandma thinks. In that, you know, she had thought before, and she doesn't as much now, which is good, that, you know, she'd want to pick who I want to be with. And I said, but you can't. Not because of me, because of them. You try to make somebody stay with me, it's not going to work. She agreed, finally, in some term or another, but there's that idealistic image to create almost every metamorphosis in somebody's life. But you can't do that. Your own metamorphosis hasn't been completed, so how can you possibly change anybody else's? This God effect really affects everybody. I have my own passion. I can't say that it's evaluated by my mom, by my grandma, by my brother. If I failed with friendships, it was me. I wouldn't blame them. Anybody else can blame them. I love when people blame other people because of my friendship ending with them. Some people have done that, and I said, oh, well, you know. Then this shows that the friendship is over because you don't trust that my feelings are strong. But they're strong, but you have to accept them too. You don't have to love me the same way. You don't have to have the same feelings for me the same way. I could care less. I've had one-sided feelings to a point where it doesn't matter anymore. But it matters that you accept them. It matters that you at least accept that I have initiated that. And I'm not trying to force you in any, you know, or bulldoze you. But I think a lot of people can't accept that because then they feel sorry. Oh, well, I'm sorry you feel sorry. But I'm not telling you to feel sorry. In fact, I'm telling you that I'm strong enough to deal with it. Which means you don't have to feel sorry at all. When I looked at Ghost from the Matrix trilogy, that's what he was. But Niobe was still close. They had a good connection, the two of them. They have a good connection. So it's possible to be in love with somebody and still have that one-sided feelings and still have the connection you need. But if you can't do that, if you're not willing to offer yourself into that too, not just me, and not offer yourself to that point, but offer yourself to a point where somebody isn't destroying it. Because that's what happened with me. Many times it wasn't because I couldn't continue the friendship. It was that I felt the end of the friendship from somebody else. And unless they accept it, and they let me go, and completely show it and say it, I can't do it. Because they're holding on to something, and they're holding on to something very heavily that I can't transduce. There's no way I could. There's no way I could understand that, because I would never treat somebody like that. You can be friends with anybody that I've been friends with, that I am friends with. But you have to tolerate their existence. If you don't, it's kind of hard to want to be friends. It's very difficult, in fact. To push me into a corner and say, it's okay. No, it's not okay. You've just not proved why it's not okay. You pushed me into a corner. So having pride in your job. How can you have pride? You don't even have pride in yourself. All you have is your job to have pride in. Pretty sad. I think it's a sad thing because you don't use your passion to engage in what you're pleased to be. If you're pleased to be in that job, that's great. Then you put your passion into it. But if you settle to just have pride in your job, not in yourself, doing your job, then all it is hard work. That's all it is. And it's sad. I've seen people closest to me in my family do that. And to me, that's really sad, is that you can't put your passion into something you actually do like, and you said so much that you've enjoyed doing. All you say is it's hard work, though. How can you truly enjoy something when you just say it's hard work? I can understand if you don't have time to do it, and you're saying, damn, I don't have time to do it, then you really see that existence with it. But if you're just saying, oh, I don't, it's hard work, why is it hard work? Don't you like doing it? And, I think that's what... You have to just go all the way with who you are. In some ways. In big forms, in fact. And people feel empowered with power control. The strength in being controlling has more than giving into anything. Even if it's what's truly felt. So, like, me having feelings, I give into them all the time. As I said before, I'm the biggest asshole in the world because I truly go with my feelings all the way. It doesn't mean I need to tell somebody that I have feelings for them. In fact, that doesn't even matter. The context of it is, if somebody truly wants to be with me, those feelings will, one, decadently place themselves. In some form or another, there'll be a connection that we can talk with, and we can have a conversation with, and we can move forward with. But if we don't do that, we can't start. As I said about sarcasm, you can't start anything with sarcasm. If you want to, have a good life with that. I love joking around, but if that's how you want to start a relationship, I don't think that's the way it's going to end. And I'm not even saying that without laughing. I'm saying that I don't know what else can think harder than me. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody at thinking, I just think that this is it. That I don't feel empowered with power or control or have any strengths. My strengths are my weaknesses and strengths. I've decided to become everything. And going with what's truly felt is important. Whether or not you have expectations of somebody is different. But if your ideal is to derive what you want from a person or just push something out from them, you're not really getting anywhere else with them then. That's all you're going to be doing the entire relationship you're in is that. Is that what you want in a relationship? Some people do. And I can understand that. But then it's just hard work. It's not really using your passions or your heart to get somewhere. It's using yourself to get what you think is better. And get better to terms and create terms that could create something between you two. I can understand that there should be some sort of connection between of what you both like, what you both do, who you are as people, how you live. Those things have to be situated. But you can't situate the mind, the heart, in such a way where you have the man power or the woman power. This is the Death King. But I'll read a poem called Charmed Life right now. Get you a little ending, that's pretty good. I'm not before that dog that lies on the top of your shoe. No valor, and invisible with romanticism galore. You hardly knew that truth. Forever damned to be who I am. Reputation builds up under all my skin. All your skin, I mean. Honey, I have always been a released heart without telling a good and bad guy story. I've escaped the bullying to never let others take any advantage without my consent. Rock hard in attitude. Sorry, I won't let you in. Your ends to begin only increase the ability and need to act in manipulation. I am the weakest in my family tree. Half pint of muscle, but a heart full of gold to carry and believe with the one who wants to be with me too. Invited in, charmed life, to buy, to begin, love that's too hard for you to ingest. I carry heart out reckless. If you only curse me, you all but turn against in. I am patient and sensitive. You call me dumb for showing emotions, to pump me up, to be aggressive. I fall for temptation, though to act on who I am, to see me change, makes me see the revelation. You have revoked and been against my love because you're so used to jealousy. Find an argument to deceive and grow an ego that pumps your head full of lead. You don't have emotions regularly. Setting them off is from an aggressive, controlling family. I can protect you much better than hurting you to change. I have loved you from beginning to end. Valentine's Day is a diet pill to lose weight. I would rather increase the depth of our relationship, finding a special piece of an ornament or little object that is abstract as your thoughts. Love you all the way until I am lost. If not, I would be a slave to expectations that are my boss. A mirror holds what I want to accomplish alone, so to latch on to see what I can do for you or to you makes me just say screw you. Fulfilling our relationship through things I give hardly reaches our existence with emotions that are never predicted. Leaving me for another man when you have felt the emotions that I have for you always within. Invited in, charmed life, to buy, to begin, love that's too hard for you to ingest. I carry heart out reckless. If you only curse me, you all but turn against in. I am patient and sensitive. You call me dumb for showing emotions, to pump me up, to be aggressive. Halted with an insecure reason to see me act with such secure character and personality. I'm not impulsive. I just deal in reality. I never reserve the right to make others happy. Heart ticks faster than the clocks, and science or math cannot react as fast. Solving problems or reflecting on how the world's working parts are observed never crosses paths with my full tank of love that never runs out of gas. Pretending it's a game or acting against how you intimidate results in no words that I could say. Call me bad and flip me the finger, burned up in flames, just to call me a dead ringer. Almost is not enough. Doubt and fear never work in my behalf. Disbelief to a profound love that ridicules no one. Gives us freedom to seek each other and not caught up in temptations, only one another's passion. Holidays are hope-free, and anniversaries to find more romantic intermingling times to stay and be together, a honeymoon to stay forever, and believe that what makes us is never our past, but the future romantic life that lasts. I am a monster on fire, patient as a tortoise against the hare, and aware my sensitivities keep us together. Invited in, charmed life, to buy, to begin, love that's too hard for you to ingest. I carry heart out reckless. If you only curse me, you all but turn against in. I am patient and sensitive. You call me dumb for showing emotions, to pump up me, to be aggressive. Stomach is filled with butterflies that crushed for all life and love with your soul. Find a journal and begin the story that rocks me against the rocks by the seashore. Inside the sinking ship, heart of your own, a dismal requirement to refill what I don't know took away. Dismantle the machine of your brain to bring your passion out again. Buying gifts to be a money-hungry controller. Having sex for all the help I could offer. Never slipped it in for those reasons. This virgin to a long-term relationships to sex then carved by men and women who pretend to want more than. My heart is weightless and never an ounce to act in stress, never full of hate or anger, only gone if your only inject is to take away passion I respect. Failure and success in my life has come so strong and so slight. I have always carried on polite, no reason to comply or play for another side. Lost all my friends when they project that who I am makes them run and hide. The mirror I can't be for you. That's all your own insecurity. Friend or foe, girlfriend or no, I can't show what you can see in the mirror when you awake each day. Math and science solves problems. I don't need to find solutions. To start secure means problems are not in my mind frame. Finding the yin-yang. I need the androgyny to cycle in life, and kiss love each time we feel needs to supply. Heart shine bright to starlight and sunrise to the sunset and nighttime. Patience and revolving disorder of my life. Stress and faith impacts your lives. I am not tired and will try each way and why to have happiness in life. Sensitive with the emotions and feelings, healing and beginning before what I am to see the two of us find and inject like medicine. Bad names come from ones I have felt for. Ignored and boldly called dumb to feel emotions is always collided with rejection. I don't get aggression. Patience and belief are my emotional direction. Find solace to be alone, or your want to be with me fights for your misdirection. That's all, fellas. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, love. Love.